A brutally honest Stoic reminder. Most of what happens to you is beyond your control, but how you choose to respond is entirely up to you. It sounds simple, but if you think about it, how often do we waste energy agonizing over things that we can't change? Traffic jams, bad weather, the opinions of others, or even the actions of someone close to us. These are external events. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The reminder is blunt but necessary. Stop trying to control the uncontrollable. If your boss is in a bad mood, you can't control their mood, but you can control your attitude toward it. If a plan falls apart, you can't always change the outcome, but you can adjust your mindset and focus on what's next. This perspective isn't about passivity or letting life steamroll you. It's about clarity. A Stoic doesn't waste energy on things outside their influence. Instead, they double down on what they can control, their thoughts, their actions, and their character. So, the next time life throws something unfair or frustrating your way, pause and ask yourself, is this within my power to change? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, channel your energy into thoughtful, constructive action. Stoicism isn't about sugarcoating life. It's about meeting it head-on with the courage to focus on what really matters. How will you respond? Lesson 1. Don't speak ill of yourself. If there's one habit the Stoics would urge us to break immediately, it's the tendency to speak negatively about ourselves. How often do you catch yourself saying things like, "I'm so stupid, I always mess things up," or "I'm just not good at that"? It might feel harmless in the moment, just a way of expressing frustration or humility, but every time you speak ill of yourself, you chip away at your confidence and self-respect. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminded himself to stand straight, not held straight. What he meant was that we should cultivate the inner strength to stand tall on our own, without relying on external validation or tearing ourselves down in the process. Think about it. The words you say, even casually, shape your perception of yourself. If you're constantly calling yourself lazy, unworthy, or incapable, your mind starts to believe it. Over time, this creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, making it harder for you to rise above challenges. Stoicism teaches us that we must guard our thoughts and words carefully because they are the foundation of our actions and character. Epictetus put it bluntly, "You are what you repeatedly do." If you repeatedly speak ill of yourself, you become someone who doesn't believe in their own worth. But this lesson isn't just about avoiding negativity, it's about replacing it with honesty and compassion. A Stoic doesn't ignore their flaws, they acknowledge them, but without judgment. Instead of saying, "I'm terrible at this," a Stoic might say, "I need more practice here." The shift may seem small, but it's transformative. It moves you from self-criticism to self-improvement. So, next time you're tempted to criticize yourself, pause, ask yourself, would you speak to a friend this way? Treat yourself with the same respect. Your thoughts and words are powerful tools. Don't use them to tear yourself down. Use them to build yourself up. Lesson 2. Stop sharing every thought and emotion. One of the most powerful lessons from Stoicism is the art of restraint, particularly when it comes to what we choose to share with others. In today's world, where oversharing feels almost encouraged, think social media posts, constant venting, or sharing every passing frustration, this lesson feels especially relevant. The Stoics believed in controlling one's emotions and not letting them spill out into the world recklessly. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." This includes the impulse to air every thought or feeling we experience. There's a certain strength in learning to hold some things within yourself. For the Stoics, not every feeling needs to be broadcast. and not every opinion deserves to be voiced. It's not about bottling things up. It's about discerning whether sharing will actually serve a purpose. Does venting your anger or frustration solve the problem, or does it just fan the flames? Does speaking out of impulse align with your values, or will it only create regret later? The key is to pause, reflect, and decide if sharing will lead to growth, understanding, or resolution. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about owning it. When you constantly share every negative thought or emotional reaction, you're not in control. Your emotions are. And often, once spoken, those words can't be taken back. Think of how many misunderstandings, arguments, or strained relationships stem from words spoken in haste or anger. The Stoics teach us to avoid this by practicing discretion. Keep some things for yourself. Process them internally, journal about them, or talk to someone you trust deeply when needed. But don't let fleeting emotions dictate your words and actions. By keeping your inner world grounded and thoughtful, you protect your energy and peace. Restraint is not weakness, it's wisdom in action. So next time you feel the urge to share your every thought or emotion, stop and ask yourself, is this worth saying? Often, silence speaks louder. Lesson 3. Keep your plans to yourself. The Stoics understood something that modern psychology now supports. Sharing your plans too early can sabotage your ability to achieve them. It feels good to tell others about your goals, right? Maybe you've decided to start a fitness routine, launch a business, or tackle a creative project. Sharing it feels like progress. It's exciting to talk about. But here's the problem. That satisfaction you feel when you announce your intentions can trick your brain into thinking you've already done the work. Instead of fueling your motivation, it can drain it. As Epictetus wisely observed, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. When you share your plans prematurely, you open yourself up to unnecessary opinions, criticism, or even skepticism. While feedback can be valuable, announcing your goals often invites people to project their own fears or limitations onto you. Imagine telling someone about your new business idea and they immediately ask, "Are you sure you're ready for that?" Suddenly, you're doubting yourself before you've even started. The Stoics teach us that true confidence and strength come from action, not words. By keeping your plans private, you shield them from external negativity and allow yourself to focus fully on the work at hand. This isn't to say you can't ever share your goals. Sometimes telling a trusted friend or mentor can help keep you accountable. But the key is discretion. Share only with those who will encourage and support you, not with people who will cast doubt or distract you with unnecessary input. The Stoics believed in proving your worth through deeds, not declarations. Let your actions speak louder than your words. So, the next time you're tempted to post about your goals or talk about them with everyone, pause. Ask yourself, do I need validation or do I need results? Focus on putting in the effort quietly, consistently, and without seeking applause. When you've achieved what you set out to do, the results will speak for themselves. Until then, keep your plans close. Your success will be stronger for it. Lesson 4. Don't share. Every struggle. Stoicism teaches us the importance of resilience and self-reliance, especially when it comes to handling life's struggles. While there's nothing wrong with seeking support from trusted people, constantly broadcasting your challenges to everyone can undermine your strength and growth. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, often reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, your ability to face struggles comes from within, not from external validation or sympathy. When you share every hardship, whether it's frustrations about work, relationship problems, or personal disappointments, you risk shifting your focus away from solving the issue to seeking attention or validation. And while a bit of empathy from others can feel good in the short term, It doesn't address the root of the problem. Worse, oversharing your struggles can make you dependent on external reassurance instead of building the internal strength to face difficulties head-on. The Stoics believed that hardships are opportunities for growth, and facing them with courage and composure allows you to develop true character. It's also important to recognize that not everyone has your best interests at heart. Sharing too much can leave you vulnerable to judgment, gossip, or even manipulation. By keeping some struggles private, you maintain control over your narrative. This doesn't mean you have to suffer in silence. There's a balance to be struck. Talk to a trusted friend, mentor, or therapist if needed, but be selective about who you let into your inner world. Sharing struggles with the wrong audience can create more problems than it solves. Stoicism isn't about pretending everything is fine or denying that life can be hard. It's about learning to bear those challenges with dignity and strength, focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. So the next time you face a struggle, take a moment to reflect before sharing. Ask yourself, am I seeking help or am I just venting for the sake of it? Use your energy to work through the problem instead of broadcasting it. Growth happens in the quiet moments of perseverance. Lesson 5. Don't share your good deeds. The Stoics were firm believers in the idea that true virtue lies in doing the right thing without seeking recognition. If you help someone in need, offer kindness, or contribute to a cause, do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you want applause or validation. Epictetus reminds us, don't aim to be admired, aim to be virtuous. When we share or boast about our good deeds, the focus shifts from the action itself to how others perceive us, which undermines the very essence of the act. Think about it. How often do people post about their charitable work, generous donations, or kind acts on social media? While it might seem harmless, even inspiring, it often comes off as performative. The Stoics would argue that publicizing your good deeds diminishes their sincerity. The purpose of helping someone or doing something good isn't to be noticed, but to fulfill your moral duty. By keeping these acts private, you strengthen your sense of integrity and reinforce the idea that virtue is its own reward. Furthermore, seeking validation for your good deeds can become a dangerous habit. Over time, you might start prioritizing actions that bring external recognition rather than those that align with your values. For instance, you may donate to a cause that's trendy, but ignore one that truly resonates with you, simply because the former is more likely to earn praise. This is not living authentically, it's living for approval. Keeping your good deeds private also protects you from arrogance and the subtle ego trap of thinking, look how great I am. The Stoics valued humility as a core virtue, and they believed that true goodness doesn't need a spotlight. When you help someone quietly, with no expectation of acknowledgement, you're practicing pure altruism, and that's where the real growth happens. So, the next time you're tempted to announce a good deed, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, am I doing this for the sake of others or for the sake of my own ego? Let your actions speak for themselves. Virtue doesn't need an audience, it needs consistency. Lesson 6. Don't share your fears with everyone. Fear is one of the most personal emotions we experience, and while it's natural to feel fear, the Stoics believed it was unwise to share it openly with just anyone. Why? Because exposing your fears to others can leave you vulnerable, not only to judgment, but also to the possibility that others might magnify or exploit your insecurities. As Seneca wisely wrote, we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Sharing your fears too freely can add fuel to the fire of your own mind, as others may unintentionally or intentionally amplify them. When you voice your fears to the wrong people, they may project their own anxieties onto you, making you feel even worse. Imagine confiding in someone about your fear of failure, only for them to respond with something like, "Yeah, that is risky. What if it doesn't work out?" Suddenly, your fear grows larger, and the doubt becomes harder to shake. Stoicism teaches us to address our fears internally through rational thought and reflection, rather than giving them power by seeking reassurance from others. This doesn't mean you should suppress your fears or carry them alone. Stoicism isn't about pretending to be unshakable. It's about managing your emotions thoughtfully. If you must share your fears, do so with someone who is trustworthy, rational, and supportive. Someone who will help you see things clearly rather than amplify your doubts. Often, fears are irrational, born from overthinking or focusing on things outside your control. By keeping them private or discussing them with the right person, you can work through them calmly and logically. The Stoics believed that fear loses its grip when you confront it directly. Rather than announcing your fears to the world, ask yourself, what am I truly afraid of? Is this fear based on reality, or am I imagining worst-case scenarios? Reflect, journal, or meditate on it before seeking external input. Strength comes not from broadcasting your vulnerabilities, but from learning to manage them with wisdom and composure. When you master your fears, they no longer master you. Keep them close, confront them quietly, and let your courage grow. Congratulations, you've made it this far, which means you're already curious about living a life of greater strength, clarity, and intention. But here's the thing about Stoicism. It's not just something you read about, it's something you practice. The lessons we've explored aren't just philosophical musings. They're tools for mastering your thoughts, emotions, and actions in a chaotic world. Now let's talk about you. Out of all the lessons we've covered, which one hit you the hardest? Was it the realization that you might be giving your plans away too soon? The habit of oversharing struggles? Or maybe it was the subtle reminder to stop underestimating yourself with negative self-talk? Whatever it is, I want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and tell me, which lesson made you stop and think? Which one made you go, wow, I needed to hear that? And here's where it gets interesting. If you're ready to truly embrace this mindset, I have a challenge for you. Pick one of these lessons and commit to practicing it for the next 7 days. Don't just think about it, live it. If you choose to stop speaking ill of yourself, pay attention to the language you use. If you decide to keep your struggles or plans private, notice how it feels to hold that space for yourself. And if you're brave enough to confront your fears quietly, let that be your focus. Once you've tried it, come back here. Share your experience in the comments. What worked, what didn't, and how it made you feel. Because here's the thing, the Stoic mindset grows stronger when shared with intention, not as a boast, but as a way to inspire and connect with others. If these lessons struck a chord, don't let them stay as passing thoughts. Hit that subscribe button so we can keep building on this journey together. And if you know someone who needs a wake-up call, a gentle or brutal reminder about taking control of their thoughts, share this with them. Let's create a ripple effect of resilience and wisdom. Your mind is your most powerful tool, so tell me, what's on your mind right now? Surprise me. The comments are yours, and I can't wait to read what you have to say.